Welcome to Guild Wars 2 Goldlocked, a challenge series where we are exploring the world of Tyria one zone at a time, where in each zone I have to earn a total of 50 gold before moving on to the next. But today we are doing something a tiny bit different. The Wintersday festival has recently been going on as I've explored through Tyria on this character, and I wanted to participate in the festivities, where there is a lot of stuff in this festival and I am excited to dive into it. So far in this series, we have been playing through areas of Tyria that weren't ever really designed with gold making in mind. As such, we really have to dive deep into the map and try to find interesting and unique ways to make gold that are less optimal than in-game farms, but are the most optimal way for us to earn gold within the restraints of each individual map. But with Wintersday, this is a little different because gold making in each of the Guild Wars 2 festivals is incredibly popular. And with popularity, a lot of research will have been done by the Guild Wars 2 community. As such, there aren't really too many things we need to dive super deep into to find unique gold farms because of all of that, but especially since the scope of Wintersday is much more refined compared to an open world map, as Wintersday basically takes place within specific activities. With the activities, I want to divvy this up into three major groups. The first major group are gold farms that are not going to be very optimal, and I'll just highlight briefly. All across the world of Tyria are some big Wintersday gifts that you can kill a few mobs and get a few Wintersday gifts from that are the primary thing we are selling on the trading post. You don't really get too much gold from this. There is also all of the karma you can earn through the festival, especially from the donation drive, which this is an incredible way to get karma, which is a much needed currency for people who collect a lot of stuff in the game, and a useless currency for those who do not. However, there are ways to earn gold through karma, especially with the pack supply network agents, which is something to consider, but I am primarily wanting to use karma to try to upgrade my character's gear once we get to a point that we can. Lastly, there is Snowball Mayhem. This is fun in certain circumstances, but is far from anything that could ever be considered a semi-viable gold farm. You just really don't get all that much from this. The second major group that we can start diving deeper into are gold farms that we can only consider once a day. First is Tix's Infernarium. This is a 5-player piece of instance content, basically serving as a dungeon themed around the Wintersday festival. You can do this by yourself if you want, but that will obviously slow you down, so throwing yourself into LFG or joining a group that is advertised in LFG is going to be good just to naturally get some people doing this instance as well, which will speed it up. Within are a variety of different little small challenges that you and your team have to progress through one by one in a set order to get to the final boss of Tox to then defeat her and complete the dungeon. All of the challenges are pretty easy and quick to get through, but there are a decent amount of them, so it ends up taking a little bit of time. Plus, there are a bunch of slightly advanced tricks and optimizations you can consider as a team to really optimize your run, but an average group of random people is typically just going to throw themselves against everything, and you will complete the instance in an average time, which for my run took 16 minutes from start to finish. And upon completing the instance, I got some special personalized Wintersday gifts for completing it for the first time this year and for the first time on this account. But I got 50 Wintersday gifts, where the price of gifts fluctuate but typically sell for about 4 silver each, meaning I got a grand total of 2 gold from the 16 minutes of effort to complete this instance, which is roughly equal to 7.5 gold per hour, but this is just 16 minutes of time spent once a day. Also, I recognize that this entire video is kind of cheating based on the rules I set forth at the start of the series, but I think it's fine and I'll allow it since this is just a fun bonus video where I wanted to dive deep into a Guild Wars 2 festival and talk about making gold through it. Moving on, the next big thing we can consider doing once a day is the secret lair of the snowman. This is another piece of instance content, but this time is for 10 players. You can join a public version of the instance and find a random group that way relatively effectively, but you can also advertise your own group or join another group that is already in LFG. Once inside, this is basically a Wintersday themed strike mission or raid where you are again progressing through an area in a linear way, and at the end is a big boss fight. The boss fight against Freezy is actually really fun and engaging, but is also easy. I actually consider this a pretty good first step into instance content because of how fun it is, how easy it is, and how it actually teaches a couple of very basic ideas related to 10-player content in Guild Wars 2 you don't really get elsewhere. Since it is easy, you don't have to spend too much time organizing for this as you have to do with some other 10-player content. where you could optimize subgroups and whatnot, but it's probably faster to just not and to immediately start clearing through the instance. I joined a public group that was maybe about 1 minute in right at the start, and it took us 8 minutes to clear from the start all the way to killing the boss, for a rough grand total of 9 minutes. I got a Jolly Wintersday gift for completing one of the tiers of the Sharing the Wintersday Cheer Daily achievement, which sells for about 72 silver. I also got one piece of rare unidentified gear that sells for 18 silver, and then 40 Wintersday gifts that sell for 1 gold and 60 silver. Altogether, that is about 2.5 gold for roughly 9 minutes of effort once a day, which is roughly equivalent to 16 gold and 66 silver per hour, if you were to look at it from that perspective. Then the last big thing that we can look at doing daily is the time trial Snowfall Sprint, which is the raptor race that takes you all throughout Divinity's Reach that can be completed even faster if you have a roller beetle and or a griffin mount. For us, we just have the classic raptor that players could also rent out if needed. The first time we ever do this, we will get double rewards, but each day we do this will allow us to get a singular reward as well. The race is definitely pretty easy to complete and is actually many people's favorite activity. As I went through it myself on a completely unupgraded raptor, it took me 2 minutes and 52 seconds, which is actually not enough to get the gold reward, meaning I only got 15 Wintersday gifts, which is worth 60 silver or about 12 gold per hour. If I had gotten gold, I would have gotten an additional 15 Wintersday gifts, and my average completion time is around 1 minute and 40 seconds. 30 Wintersday gifts is 1 gold and 20 silver, which is then equivalent to 43 gold and 37 silver per hour, but again, we can only do this once a day. And between all 3 of the big daily activities, they are pretty worthwhile to complete each day. Plus, I find all 3 to be pretty fun to do as well. The race in particular is very easy for players to get into and to reach the go time for, but it also provides a great opportunity for people interested in pushing the limits of the race to try to get a super fast time. And the secret layer of the snowman is also just an incredibly fun piece of content, and I wish we saw more festival content like that in Guild Wars 2. But moving on to the third and final group of activities, and this is the big one. We have Wintersday activities that can be completed endlessly, meaning that if you wanted to, we could sit down for hours and just grind these activities and make a ton of gold from selling Wintersday gifts. Which I will mention that you could open Wintersday gifts and is basically gambling for better items, and on average it is more worthwhile to just sell them. But if you really enjoy opening them, it is definitely worthwhile to do so for that reason. But let's go through these activities, and I'll go in order of my personal least favorite of them, all the way to my favorite. First up is Toypocalypse. This is a really fun activity that is a take on the idea of tower defense games. In the center, we have a group of Daliacs that we need to defend from a bunch of rampaging toys that spawn all around at the outer ends of the Infinarium. To do so, we can fight them ourselves, but we can also gather scraps and snow from breaking the decorations all around here in order to build a small variety of defenses that will aid us against the toys. There are incredibly optimal ways to do this, where basically all the toys instantly die, and you can blast through this incredibly easily, but you can also just casually go through this, building whatever, killing toys, and easily completing the challenge. This one is also kind of unique because it is one of the longest activities in Wintersday, where you really want to stay all the way through to the end to maximize the amount of rewards you get, and you don't really want to drop out early, meaning we have to commit a slightly significant amount of time to doing this whenever we want to do it. For me, I just joined a random public instance that was going on to play through Toypocalypse. It took us 14 minutes to progress from start to finish, which was actually faster than my Tix's Infinarium run. I did get 2 Jolly Wintersday gifts. Wish you would get 3 from this every day if you didn't do anything else that completes that daily. This is a nice 2 gold bonus, and I'm going to go ahead and exclude it in this specific category since it's a daily reward. The big thing I got was 74 Wintersday gifts, which comes out to a total of 2 gold, 89 silver, and 34 copper, which is equivalent to roughly 12 gold and 39 silver per hour, which is incredible given some of the farms you have found in random maps of Tyria. Toypocalypse is definitely decently fun and can give us some gold, but I do like the next 2 activities more. For the next one I want to dive into is the Bell Choir Ensemble. I love this game a lot, but it is a bit of a polarizing one because a lot of players don't enjoy it. While Toypocalypse was Guild Wars 2's take on a tower defense game, this is Guild Wars 2's take on a rhythm game. You play a part of a song and you have to ring your bell to play the correct notes at the correct time. A general tip that makes this a lot easier is to use your keyboard in a very similar way as a piano, meaning you will want to use the default keybinds or have them set as a secondary keybind and have your 4 left fingers sitting on 1 through 4 and your 4 right fingers sitting on 6 through 9. Then as each note hits the white circle, press down the right key with the right finger. Once you get it down, it is a pretty simple game and I find it pretty relaxing. As you play through songs, you will get Wintersday gifts, with more gifts being given for more difficult songs. The entire game starts with 2 easy, and then you do 2 medium, and it ends with 2 harder songs. They each happen back to back, but there is a short break in between songs if there is an open slot for somebody to join in, and there is somebody in the instance waiting for that spot. But if no one leaves, or if no one messes up enough to be kicked off, you can go straight from song to song to song, which is so incredibly nice because not only do you not have to wait, we can get more Wintersday gifts to sell for gold faster. But of course, either way, it doesn't matter all that much since it's just a video game and people have different things they need to do and different skill levels, which is always completely fine. But I relaxed for a while, played through this activity for 30 minutes, and left with 160 Wintersday gifts, which is equal to about 6 gold and 35 silver, or about 12 gold and 70 silver per hour, around about the same as Toypocalypse, but I personally find it more enjoyable. But now it is time for the most popular activity and also my favorite, Winter Wonderland. This is the massive jumping puzzle that has 3 different tiers of difficulty. An easier path which gives 8 Wintersday gifts, a medium path that gives 10 Wintersday gifts, and a harder path that gives 12 Wintersday gifts. They are all about the same length and converge together towards the end for one final sprint to complete the puzzle. You also get 5 additional Wintersday gifts for every 3 completions, which is a nice bonus. Obviously for us, we are going to be wanting to go for the more difficult path because it is just naturally going to give us more gold. And since I am very comfortable with jumping puzzles in Guild Wars 2, since it's one of my favorite things in all of gaming, I can easily complete the hard route. But a very fun thing about this jumping puzzle is that there are a ton of opportunities for high risk but high reward optimizations that can help you speed up your journey through here by making some skips and just getting through everything faster and with less waiting. For me, I tend to just go through it casually while watching some videos and making a slightly trickier jump here and there. And that is exactly what I did for half an hour. I completed 14 runs and fell once, which gave me a grand total of 188 Wintersday gifts, which can be sold for about 7 gold and 37 silver, which is equivalent to 14 gold and 74 silver an hour. Incredibly good, especially given how fun this entire activity is, and out of everything in Wintersday, and also I think everything we've done in the series, this is the best gold farm. I want to give a quick shout out to the weekly Wintersday festivities achievement, which I naturally earned as I did all of this, where you get points towards this achievement from a variety of different Wintersday activities. For example, each run of Winter Wonderland gives you 10 points, so you just need to complete it 20 times each week, which can be done in less than 45 minutes as we just explored. Halfway through, you get a special weapon skin, and this year is the Sugar Drift weapon set, and I thought I'd pick up the axe to use as a skin because why not? And then all the way through you get a snow diamond which sells for about 15.5 gold, which is an incredible bonus and is definitely worth to go for every week. Say we were to spend 1 hour a week playing through Winter Wonderland, we would get almost 15 gold straight up from just completing the puzzle, and then an additional 15 gold from selling the snow diamond, adding up to a total of 30 gold, and you even get a weapon skin to boot. And opening up any personalized Wintersday gifts you get as well is going to help provide you with a ton of extra gold. And just from doing a little bit of stuff up to this point in this bonus video through Wintersday, I stomped my 50 gold goal, so I thought I would maybe just continue up to a total of 100 gold earned to get a nice even number. And to do so, I just casually played through some more Winter Wonderland and stuff, and sold all of the gifts I got. And after a little bit, I can return to the trading post to pick up my 100 gold, bringing my total earned in this series to 450 gold, and to double check, I am now at 76 hours played on this character. This was a very fun diversion from our normal stuff, and the activities found within Wintersday are definitely super fun to play through, and also super rewarding. And that is the case with each of the festivals in Guild Wars 2. As each one rolls around, you can basically just do what I did here and play through the content presented and make some easy gold. Even in the Super Adventure box, which a lot of people seem to think isn't especially rewarding. But of course, it is time for us to return to our adventures. Last episode, when we completed Lorna's Pass, we rode Bloodtide Coast as our next map, which is where we are heading to next. See you then.